Eventually, things add up. There's a story behind that. This is your daily message from Chad number 1044 to upgrade your mental game today by telling yourself a better story. Because the most important story you hear is the story you tell yourself. And this message is dedicated to Robin Janelle Toll. Here's the upgrade. The progression is slow, but upgraded thinking understands everything compounds. Here's the story. A wise man invented the game of chess for a powerful king. He requested an audience with the king and demonstrated how to play the game. The king was so impressed that he offered the inventor any reward he wanted. The wise man humbly requested a single grain of rice on the first square of the chessboard, 2 grains on the second square, 4 grains on the third square, and so on. He asked that the number of grains double for each of the 64 squares of the chessboard. The king laughed at the seemingly tiny request and agreed immediately, thinking it was a modest reward. By the time the court officials calculated the total, however, they realized the king had promised far more rice than existed in the entire kingdom. See, the last square would have been 460 billion tons of rice. That's enough rice to cover the entire surface of the earth, including oceans with a layer several inches thick. For comparison, global rice production today is only about 500 to 800 million tons per year. That's the power of compounding. Exponential growth, doubling, looks harmless and slow at first. Then it explodes dramatically toward the end. It looks insignificant for a surprisingly long time. There's another illustration of this called the lily pad riddle, where a lily pad is placed on a pond. It doubles in size every single day. At the end of the 30 days, the lily pads completely cover the entire pond. The key question people often ask is, on which day was the pond half covered? The answer? Day 29. Because the coverage doubles every day, the pond goes from 50% covered on day 29 to 100% covered on day 30. This surprises a lot of people who intuitively expect it to take much longer to go from half to full. The story highlights how exponential processes can appear slow for a long time and then suddenly accelerate dramatically near the end. It stays tiny for most of the month and then explodes in the final days. On day 15, less than 1% of the pond is covered. Few people stick with something long enough to benefit from the magic of compounding. Unfortunately, the compounding that most people experience is with a bad habit, because compounding works both ways. Bad habits or negative actions are under the same law as good ones. Nutrition, attitude, relationships, money, learning, you name it, everything compounds. The better story to tell yourself is, I use the magic of compounding as an asset, not a liability. Whether you're investing in your health, relationships, or finances, don't stop the compounding. Eventually, things start to add up. Tell me a story of what you're wanting to compound to fromchadsmith@gmail.com. Send someone a text and ask them, where have you experienced compounding growth in your life? You can get a free copy of my book, The Most Powerful Story in the World, by going to fromchad.gumroad.com. The transcript of this message and hundreds of others are always available at www.fromchad.com.